What's up, everybody? It's Cure with day 15 of the Fallout 4 Countdown Retrospective. We are halfway through the countdown, people, only half a month to go. To celebrate the occasion, I've got a very special countdown retrospective for you today. Today, we'll be talking about the Survivor 2299, one of the most elaborate hoaxes in the history of gaming. It was so well executed, in fact, that just about everyone believed in the possibility that this could be some kind of official teaser virtual Easter egg hunt orchestrated by Bethesda. Now, I've covered the Survivor 2299 extensively through multiple videos in the past, so instead of having present me give you a summary of all that transpired, I will compile all of my old videos on Survivor 2299 right here so that myself from 2 years ago can speak for himself. Check it out. The website was discovered for the first time on November 15th, 2013 by Reddit users, and it featured the following attributes: a countdown timer leading to December 11th, 2013, a Morse code message pointing to that same date, and a Vault-Tec logo. 4 days later, on November 19th, a Tumblr/Twitter for the website were released, seemingly revealing more information about the nature of the mysterious website, but have later been confirmed to be fake. 2 days later, on November 21st, a Reddit user reported that he accidentally found what could possibly be a soundtrack for the upcoming Fallout. However, this soundtrack was eventually confirmed to be a fake when it was discovered that the orchestral half of the track comes from a fan-orchestrated version of Super Mario World's castle theme. Not gonna lie, that is funny as hell. Also on November 21st, the website's Morse code message was changed, this time transmitting the following. This followed a very similar pattern to broadcasts from ham radios in Fallout 3, which for many stations broadcasted the following Morse code message. This style of communication is what's called shorthand. CQ could be translated to calling any station. It indicates a general non-emergency call that expects a reply. Also, when phonetically spoken, it sounds like seek you. Next up for shorthand translation is DE, which can be translated to this is. Then we have the 2 pound signs, which are placeholders for 2 letters that serve as station ID. In the case of the website's message, the station ID is OZ. And finally, the K is more shorthand for over. Now, the message from the website is slightly different. Instead of ending with a K, it ends with a PSEAS. According to a Reddit user, those last 2 shorthand signals stand for please stand by. So while the Morse code from the ham radio in Fallout 3 can be translated to calling any station, calling any station, calling any station, this is blank, over. The message in the website translates to calling any station, calling any station, calling any station. This is blank, or in this case, OZ, please stand by. Also interesting to note is that OZ is actually a legitimate station ID from the Fallout lore. It belongs to a radio signal known as Signal Oscar Zulu, which is transmitted from Relay Tower KX-B811, which can be found in Fallout 3. From Signal Oscar Zulu, a man named Bob Anderstein was heard from with the following message.
If anyone can hear this, this is Bob Anderstein. Family and I have taken refuge in a drainage chamber not too far from a radio relay tower outside of DC. My boy is very sick, needs medical assistance. Please help if you can. We're listening for your response. 3950 kilohertz.
What's funny is that Bob Anderstein's skeleton can be found near the radio, but not his son's. Perhaps his son is someone we'll meet in this upcoming Fallout game. So yeah, essentially on November 21st, this Morse code message was left on the Survivor 2299 website, which pointed to Signal Oscar Zulu, from which Bob Anderstein transmitted a message about his sick son, whose body has yet to be found. Hell, maybe Bob Anderstein's son is Survivor 2299 if this website turns out to be legitimate. That wouldn't be too far-fetched, since 2299 is 22 years after the events of Fallout 3, but who knows at this point. Also on the same day, later that night, a site from page text was added to the website, which read, "Nuclear winter is coming. Reserve your future home today, 877-260-2299. The phone number went out of service within a few hours, but those who did manage to call it in time were left with the following message. The number played the soundtrack Tranquility Lane, followed by a Morse code message that, when deciphered, read code 7667, which would come into play 2 days later on November 23rd. But before that, let's talk about November 22nd. At 12:45 a.m., the front page of the website changed from this to this. For those who may not know, overseers are leaders in charge of a Vault-Tec vault in the lore of Fallout. But even with that knowledge, it's hard to say why the message was changed to what we see here. Also on the same date, a new Caesarian shift cipher was added to the front page, which looks like this. It was decoded by a fan, which revealed this message. "My dear sister, I am heading to the Institute. God knows what happened to this place now. This old bastard will help us. He must help us. 0321. It's hard to say what the message is about with so little context. Also, what or who the numbers represent is unknown, but mention of the Institute has certainly piqued my interest. There have already been rumors floating around that the next Fallout game will take place in Massachusetts, since over a year ago, Bethesda's team took a trip to Boston to scout and research, which goes in line with the message's mention of the Institute, which is essentially the post-apocalyptic version of Massachusetts Institute of Technology and an organization within the Commonwealth, which is comprised of pre-war Massachusetts. Also interesting to note about the Institute is that it deals with androids, and there's been rumors going around that androids will play a big role in Fallout 4's story. Hell, some are assuming that this 03210 is the codename for an android. Some rumors even say that players themselves will be playing an android. Regardless, mention of the Institute is certainly something to put a pin on. Alright, let's move on to November 23rd. On this date, the cipher on the page was changed to this, which translated to the following message. It is believed that the first 4 letters, V, G, and R, serves to indicate that the cipher is a Vigenère cipher. The following 3 letters, CAP or CAP, is said to stand for Cipher Analytical Protocol. This is followed by 4 asterisks with a question mark, which apparently indicates that the 4th number of a code should be used since the question mark is placed on the 4th slot. This brings us back to code 7667 from November 21st, which contains the number 7 on the 4th slot, so it's safe to expect for the number 7 or the word 7 to go where the asterisks and the question marks are. This is followed by the word let and then 2 dates, December 27th, 2013 and November 25th, 2013, both separated by 2 vertical bars. Soon after this deciphering, a Reddit user noticed that the 2 dates are 16 days equidistant from the December 11th, 2013 date that the countdown is leading us to. What this could mean is still unknown. On the same date, another Reddit user noticed something interesting about the website. Both the Survivor2299.com and the Beth blog are hosted by the same 5-year-old version of Nginx. Furthermore, ZeniMax.com and Betsoft.com also use Nginx as their hosts, although which versions they use has not been disclosed. Regardless, it's interesting that certain website parameters are so similar to those of ZeniMax, Betsoft, and the Beth blog. Another interesting discovery by Reddit user Maestro was that the phone number from the front page message on November 21st, 877-260-2299, was eventually linked to a woman called Cindy Talent, who actually works for ZeniMax. The number was also found to be registered to a company called Virtual Media, which specializes in interactive media and interactive marketing, and this company's website, oddly enough, is also hosted by the same 5-year-old version of Nginx, very similar to the Beth blog and this Survivor2299 website. Sometime later that date, another cipher was added to the front page, which translated to the Quabbin Reservoir 704-2299. To decipher this code, they had to use the 2 dates that were 16 days equidistant to December 11th. November 25th is a Monday and December 27th is a Friday, so using the word Monday-Friday as the key for the cipher, they managed to pass the cipher through a Beaufort decoder, resulting in this deciphered message, which when read backwards reads the Quabbin Reservoir 704-2299. So what is this Quabbin Reservoir that the cipher speaks of? It is the largest inland body of water found in, you guessed it, Massachusetts. As for the numbers, they clearly stand for a date, July 4th, 2299. What this all means, it's hard to say, but it all seems to be pointing to the next Fallout being set in a 2299 Massachusetts. But it doesn't end there. Later, on November 23rd, someone tried using the numbers as a URL directory, typing in the survivor2299.com/7042299. The website is currently no longer available, but those who did manage to get in there in time found the following message. GBG, for those who don't know, stands for Granary Burying Ground, which is Boston's third oldest cemetery, founded in 1660. It is still unknown what the numbers stand for, but notice that code 7667 once again makes a return. Also notice that after 7667, there's this question mark at the end, as if there was some other set of numbers missing. As it turns out, if one replaced the question mark with the date the cemetery was founded, 1660, and used it in conjunction with the first two set of numbers as a URL directory, it would lead to a part of the website with this message. What this message meant would not be solved until the next day, November 24th, 2013. Also, keep in mind that the website was taken down shortly after, so if you try to type in their URL now, it's just going to give you a 404 error. Anyways, on November 24th, 2013, 12:58 a.m., Reddit user BullShe realized that the letters LLUB is the word bull backwards, and when typed on a mobile keyboard, results with the numbers 2855. So by combining the 2247 with the numbers you get from the word bull, 2855, he got the number 2247-2855, which he typed as a directory for the survivor2299.com, which led him to another website that shows the following message. It is assumed that this message could be referencing Desmond Lockhart from Point Lookout, who according to the Fallout Wiki, mentions traveling north to pursue his next rival. And for those who may not know, Boston, Massachusetts is northeast of Point Lookout in terms of geographical location. The only thing that hasn't been solved is the number 19.04, perhaps with time. Later on November 24th, by brute force cycling through pages with 7-digit long names, Reddit user allgoodnamestaken managed to find website thesurvivor2299.com/5625478, which contained the following message. Unfortunately, the message has yet to be solved. And then a few hours later, the site's message was eventually changed to simply the word 1, which also remains unsolved. But again, keep in mind, the website has been taken down, and it presently leads to a 404 error. A few hours later, 3 more of these directories were discovered in the website, displaying code messages that would be used to decipher the Survivor 2299's new Morse code message, which would be discovered later that night at 8:44 p.m. The Morse code translated to the following. This is once again all written in Morse code shorthand, but even some of the shorthand were ciphered, which is when the code found on one of these 3 numbered directories came in. By replacing the ciphered shorthand with their equivalent as indicated by the code, the Morse code became a little clearer. After replacing what needed to be replaced, a rough translation was created, which goes as follows. Bridgeport, this is Concord, Massachusetts. Message. Quabbin Reservoir is hit. Repeat, Quabbin Reservoir is hit. Over. I've already explained what the Quabbin Reservoir is, but Bridgeport, for those who don't know, is a city in Connecticut, which is a state that is right below Massachusetts. So if all of this is legit, we can assume that perhaps the state of Connecticut will also play a role in Fallout 4's story. But perhaps the most significant update on November 24th was the addition of another countdown timer, which points to December 1st, 2013, 10 days before the main countdown. This second countdown is called the Art Countdown, according to sources. In other words, if this website is legit, chances are that on December 1st at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will see some kind of artwork for the upcoming Fallout. Only time will tell. Finally, on November 24th, for good measure, IRC channel user, however the hell you pronounce that, presented a possible Fallout 4 map based on all the locations that have been revealed thus far through the survivor2299.com. Pretty neat stuff, but nothing official. Then on the next day, November 25th, the front page plays yet another new Morse code with the following message. The message essentially talks about the stages of various cities using the International Nuclear Event Scale, with stage 7 being the most severe. But interesting to note is that the Morse code message cuts off right after Boston. Also notice that Las Vegas is the only city with an unknown stage. A popular assumption is that this is the result of Mr. House's actions to prevent the city from being directly hit. Now, some of you may be wondering about all the shorthand Morse code before the city listing. Many seem to agree that the first acronym, NCRA, stands for National Catastrophe Relief Auxiliary, which was a group within the Fallout lore detached the day before the Great War in case of emergencies. The stuff that follows, Unit BST3147, could be the unit ID for the city of Boston, so Unit Boston 3147, although it's been pointed out that the 7 at the end could also stand for stage level in terms of International Nuclear Event Scale. And finally, EMRG, MSG, clearly stands for emergency message. So a rough translation for that first bit of the Morse code message could be National Catastrophe Relief Auxiliary, Unit Boston 314, Stage 7, emergency message. Another new Morse code presented itself on the front page the next day on November 26th, which contained the following message. This was translated to the following: calling all stations, calling all stations, calling all stations. This is Vault Technician 2510730 16 Emergency Vault-Tech Shelter for Survivors in Quabbin. Number 119, repeat, Emergency Vault-Tech Shelter for Survivors in Quabbin. Number 119, over. So once again, more references of Massachusetts through the Quabbin Reservoir. Also, there is the possibility that Boston specifically is being referenced through number 119, which is Boston's radio code for fire detail. Another possibility is that number 119 refers to Vermont 119, a road that passes nearby Quabbin Reservoir. Other interesting tidbits that happened on November 26th include the discovery of the survivor2299.com/radio, which was an empty page and is now a 403, along with the discovery that the survivor2299.org and .net have been registered. Not only do both redirect to the .com website, but both domains have been discovered to be connected to the main website. Furthermore, it was discovered that the email address dnstech@zenimax.com is associated with the website, further linking the survivor2299.com to Bethesda Softworks' parent company. Last but not least, let's talk about November 27th, during which the front page was updated with yet another Morse code message, which was deciphered as follows. This was then translated to the following message: calling all stations, calling all stations, calling all stations. Boston is gone. I repeat, Boston is gone. No hope. Frequency 3450, return transmission. God bless America. Also interesting to note is that the MP3 file that was used to transmit the Morse code is named PROV, which many are assuming to stand for Providence, Rhode Island, which is pretty close to Boston. Another interesting discovery that day happened through the Morse code message's frequency, 3450. People over at a pirate station forum nearby Boston actually tuned in that day, and they noticed an odd transmission on that frequency. Here is a bit of the transmission for those curious. Did you guys hear the phone tones? Reddit users actually translated what it was spelling out, which resulted in the letters IMSECURE, which could be read as I'm secure. The assumption is that this message is a reply to the latest Morse code, which did say frequency 3450, return transmission. During the transmission, it was also reported that a woman's voice spoke the following. The next transmission is at 0200 UTC. Unfortunately, nothing was heard when people tuned in at that time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we know so far about the website, thesurvivor2299.com. Website thesurvivor2299.com has gone quiet for 3 days in a row, from November 28th to November 30th, likely due to Thanksgiving holidays, but it has finally received another major update on December 1st. In this video, I'll tell you all about them. But before you proceed, I highly recommend you watch my previous video, which covers everything you need to know about the website from the time of its discovery all the way to November 27th. Without that information, you'll likely be completely lost. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive right into it. First things first, today it was noticed that the website is now hosted by an updated version of Nginx. Before, the survivor2299.com used Nginx 0.7.67, a 5-year-old version of the server that is also used by the Beth blog. But on December 1st, the website has been updated to use Nginx version 1.4.4. Alongside the update, one of the timers, the one that was supposed to end at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, was pushed by 12 hours and set to end on December 2nd, 3:30 a.m. That, however, turned out to be a small hiccup from the website update. The timer was soon changed back to expire on December 1st at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and thus the website's countdown expired. Unfortunately, despite the fact that sources found that this first timer was called the art count, there was no art of the next Fallout game to be found. Instead, the website was updated with a new Morse code message and a new cipher on the front page, along with the message, "Nuclear winter has come." Let's start by talking about the cipher, which was quickly deciphered after its appearance. The cipher itself was written in what's called a reversed keyed Vigenère cipher, and the passphrase they had to use to decipher the message was the word Vault-Tec. That's a pretty big deal since this is the first time this ARG has made use of the words Vault-Tec in any way, shape, or form. Anyways, the deciphered message goes as follows. "The Institute is sealed. They won't help us. I'm heading to Black Row. TBNLS 5120. Once again, similar to previous codes and hidden messages, there is more mention of the Institute. What's unfamiliar, however, are the words Black Row, which I have no idea what it is. I've tried Googling it and cross-referencing it with the Fallout lore, and so far, nothing. Something else that's unclear is the message's signature, TBNLS 5120. It could be a key or a code for some future clue, but my theory is that it could be related to androids and their model numbers. If you recall, Fallout 3 featured an android called Harkness, but he was also known as A321, which similarly to 5120 and a previous 4-character signature from a decoded message from November 22nd, 0321, contains 4 characters. Granted, A321 does contain a letter, unlike 5120 and 0321, but who knows, maybe certain android models are named with only numbers. This whole android thing is just a theory though, so I could be way off. Moving on, let's talk about the new Morse code, which decoded to the following shorthand message. This shorthand message was then translated to this: "Calling all stations. This is Overseer 119, Emergency Enemy Unknown, SOS. Vault 119, Quabbin 7667. Repeat, SOS. Vault 119, Quabbin 7667, Enemy Unknown." If this website turns out to be legitimate, then it confirms that Vault 119, located near the Quabbin Reservoir in Massachusetts, might play a role in the upcoming Fallout game. Now, I've tried searching for Vault 119, and there's nothing of the kind anywhere within the Fallout lore, making it a possible fresh canvas for Bethesda Softworks to make a story for. Also interesting to note about the message are the numbers 7667. This set of numbers made its first appearance on November 21st when Redditors decoded a message that was transmitted through now inactive number 877-260-2299. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, again, watch my previous video. This set of numbers, 7667, has appeared numerous times throughout the various codes and puzzles in the Survivor2299.com. And it appears once again on December 1st through this new message. It is still unknown what this set of numbers represent, but we can deduct that it seems to be related to the Quabbin Reservoir. Perhaps 7667 is a location within the Quabbin Reservoir. Who knows at this point? And with that, I would like to end this news update, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Website, the Survivor2299.com has been updated once again with not 1, not 2, but 3 new Morse code messages. Furthermore, a new directory has been discovered that reveals new hidden messages. Let's begin by talking about the Morse code messages. The first message was transmitted very late on December 1st. It was decrypted to the following shorthand message, which was later roughly translated as follows: "Calling all stations. This is Vault Overseer 119. Anybody near Quabbin. SOS. Vault door breach. Repeat. SOS Vault door breach. Enemy unknown. Level 123 gone. Survivors on SL, which according to Redditors could stand for either service lift, sealed, or secure location. So the message could end as either survivors on service lift level 4, survivors on sealed level 4, or survivors on secure location level 4. Regardless of how it ends, this message from Vault 119 clearly shows a lot of distress. Now, something that catches my attention are the words words enemy unknown. One theory is that unknown enemies could be a result of the fact that the message is maybe being transmitted not too long after the end of the Great War, which, as you may know, resulted in the creation of new creatures due to radiation and use of biological weapons. On the other hand, if the message is being transmitted at around the same time the next Fallout game will take place, which is assumed to be 2299, then it could be hinting at new creatures and enemies that have yet to be introduced to the Fallout lore. Who knows at this point? Anyways, let's move on by talking about the second Morse code message of the day, which began transmitting early December 2nd. It was soon decrypted to the following shorthand message, which was later roughly translated to this: "Calling all stations, this is Vault 119. SOS, Level 4 is under attack. Overseer is dead. Repeat, SOS, Level 4 is under attack. Overseer is dead." And then there are these last four shorthand words, which could stand for either "We want Mark 1" or "We won't make it." So the message could end as either "Overseer is dead, we want Mark 1," or as "Overseer is dead, we won't make it." To me, the second one seems to make more sense, but then again, I'm not an expert in deciphering shorthand Morse code messages, so who knows? Last but not least for Morse code messages, let's talk about the third message of the day, which was transmitted on late December 2nd. It was decrypted to the following shorthand message and was later translated as follows: "Calling BR," and BR is assumed to stand for Black Row, which was mentioned on the cipher on December 1st. So for now we have "Calling Black Row." This is then followed by the letters OTST, which is currently assumed to stand for "on the site." So assuming that's the correct translation, the message then reads as follows: "Calling Black Row, on the site, ground is safe. Too late, Level 4 breach. No survivors, 899 corpses. We are leaving Vault 119. Over, back to you." At this point, it's pretty clear that Vault 119 has fallen. What's interesting about the message is that it seems to be transmitted by a sole survivor, since the message was somehow sent, despite the fact that it says that there are no survivors. By no survivors, the message sender likely means that he or she is the only survivor. Furthermore, the message states that there are 899 corpses, almost as if Vault 119 housed 900 people, and only one of them survived. Perhaps this individual, this sole survivor and the one sending the message, is Survivor 2299. But if that's the case, I find it a little bit weird that he uses the word "we," as in, "we are leaving Vault 119, over back to you." Why does he say "we" if he's only one person? Who knows? Also interesting is the survivor's destination, Black Row. It is still unknown what it is exactly, but a safe guess seems to be that Black Row is short for Black Arrow Way, which is a street name in a neighborhood that resides in Beckett, Massachusetts. Perhaps another location we'll be visiting in the next Fallout game. Finally, let's talk about the final message of the day, which came about from the discovery of website directory thesurvivor2299.com/VT119, which stands for Vault 119. As soon as the website loads, it types out the message SY684, overriding protocol VT15812 with key 7667. There's that set of numbers again, 7667, which has made numerous appearances throughout this ARG. Now we know that it's not only related to the Quabbin Reservoir and Vault 119, but also that the set of numbers acts as a key of sorts. Anyways, after the message is typed out, the website then flashes the words "Unknown enemy detected" with a red background. Again, this whole talk of unknown enemies seems to be pointing to either the messages being transmitted shortly after the Great War, or to new enemies being presented to the lore of Fallout in the upcoming game, which could take place in 2299, 22 years after Fallout 3. Now, it doesn't end there. There is another hidden message that can only be seen if you highlight the camouflage text. Doing so will display the following cipher. The translation goes as follows: "They don't know what's coming. It's a key to the great game." It's interesting to note that Desmond Lockhart, who's already been referenced previously in this ARG, was a Fallout 3 Point Lookout character who mentions traveling north to pursue a, quote, "great game of geniuses and billionaires." The message could also at the same time be breaking the fourth wall, stating that we as the players of this ARG don't know what's coming, that there's a key to this great ARG game. Fake or legit, I will admit, this has been a fun and interesting ride. Anyways, that about sums up everything you need to know about the Survivor2299.com from December 1st to December 2nd. Website, the Survivor2299.com, has been updated once again on December 3rd with 2 new Morse code messages. But before we begin, I'd like to rewind for a second and talk about one of the new Morse code messages from December 2nd. If you have watched my previous video, you may remember this particular message. I theorized that there was obviously a sole survivor since the message listed 899 corpses, almost as if the vault housed 900 people and one of them managed to survive and got away. I also assumed that the message was being sent by the survivor himself, but many of you pointed out that it was most likely being sent from a rescue team dispatched by Black Row, and I have to agree, that makes much more sense. The message likely comes shortly after the successful attack on Vault 119, by which time these unknown enemies have probably retreated, which explains the portion of the message that says, "Ground is safe." The rest of the message then talks about how the team was too late, that there are no survivors in Vault 119 with 899 corpses accounted for, etc. And this team probably doesn't suspect that there could be anyone who could have gotten away from an attack of this magnitude, but based on the number 899, it's highly likely that one individual probably managed to get away. Perhaps this individual is none other than Survivor 2299, and perhaps this survivor is the individual we'll be customizing and playing as. Not gonna lie, this whole Vault 119 ordeal with unknown enemies would be a great way to start a Fallout story. Anyways, now that I rectified that, let's fast forward to December 3rd and talk about the first Morse code message of the day, which was decoded to the following shorthand Morse message, which was then translated to this: calling Black Row outstation, reporting suspicious activity near secure location, the Institute. And then this is followed by 2 possibilities for the second half of the message. The second half can either be translated as 1 visual threat detected, 3 unknown humanoids 3 miles northwest, over. Or it could also be translated as 1 vault dweller 2 miles north, 3 unknown humans 3 miles northwest, over. It's hard to say which one, honestly, since both fit quite well within the context of the messages that we've been receiving these past few days. But what is obvious is that this message is likely being transmitted by the same Black Row rescue team that reported Vault 119's situation after the attack. Also interesting to note is mention of the Institute and suspicious activity around it. It's given more context in the next Morse code message that was transmitted on the same day, which was decoded to this shorthand Morse message and then roughly translated to the following message: calling Black Row, report, day 7 on Harvard Bridge. People are scared. Last night we heard strange noises from the Institute. At the moment we see strange humans distance 2 miles north. Something isn't right with that place, over. The plot thickens. Very little is known about the Institute apart from the fact that it possesses highly advanced technology and the ability to create true AIs and androids, so it's hard to imagine what kinds of strange noises and activities this Black Row rescue team is hearing and seeing from this mysterious place shrouded in secrecy. The message also mentions Harvard Bridge, which is a real-life landmark that not only bridges Boston, Massachusetts and Cambridge, Massachusetts, but also leads into MIT if you go towards Cambridge. In fact, the Harvard Bridge is locally known as the MIT Bridge, so one thing we can say about this ARG, fake or not, is that those behind it really did their research. And that sums up everything you need to know about the website for the date of December 3rd, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I would like to talk about updates for website thesurvivor2299.com on December 4th. Before I begin, one little mistake I would like to rectify is that the second Morse code message from December 3rd that I talked about in my previous video was actually transmitted on December 4th. It's not really a huge deal, but just in case there's anyone out there who is a stickler for details, there you go. Alongside this Morse code message on December 4th, a new cipher was added to the front page later on that date. The first set of characters, the ones before the dash, aren't part of the message, but rather a ciphered key that is essential to deciphering the rest of the message. Let's first talk about the numbers. Reddit user Eastoli found out that by typing the numbers on a phone keypad, you get the letters LOCKHRTSURV, which spells out Lockhart Serve. Using the key, the rest of the cipher can be translated as follows.
What the fuck are you looking at, kiddo? Don't tell me you've never seen a gun before. Come on, move your ass. It's time to go where the fuck you came from.
But it doesn't end there. Before the set of numbers in the cipher that spell out Lockhart Serve, there are 3 letters, Z, Y, X. Notice how they are the last 3 letters of the alphabet, but in reverse order. Many believe that this is indication that all the sentences in this message should be read in reverse order. If we do that, the deciphered message becomes,
Where the fuck you came from? It's time to go. Come on, move your ass. Don't tell me you've never seen a gun before. What the fuck are you looking at, kiddo?
Now that the message has been deciphered, then the question becomes, who are the subjects of this message? The answer to that, I believe, lies in the cipher's key, the set of numbers that spell out Lockhart Serve. Notice that prior to the last 4 numbers of the key, which spell out the word serve, there is a plus sign. The plus sign is meaningless when it comes to deciphering the message, but it does separate the word Lockhart from serve, as if they were 2 entities. My theory is that the key itself is a small message telling us that the subjects of this conversation are Desmond Lockhart and the survivor, with Desmond Lockhart being the one nagging at the inexperienced survivor. The fact that the survivor comes off as inexperienced in this message, like a level 1 character, is further indication that this survivor is likely who players will be customizing and playing as, and if all this turns out to be real, it seems as though Desmond Lockhart may end up playing a significant role in the next Fallout game. And that about sums up everything you need to know about the Survivor2299.com for the date of December 4th. Today, I would like to talk about everything you need to know about the Survivor2299.com for December 5th, which yielded yet another new Morse code message and yet another new cipher. Let's begin by talking about the Morse code message, which was decoded to the following shorthand message and soon after translated to this, calling Black Row, and then this is followed by what could be translated to either emergency is over or emergency, it's over. I'm going to go with the latter since it seems to make more sense in this situation. So far we have calling Black Row, emergency, it's over. We are, and then the next set of shorthand Morse could be translated as either on the North Bridge or as outnumbered. So this next portion could be read as we are on the North Bridge without ammo or as we are outnumbered without ammo. This is then followed by something attacked camp, we are doomed, no way out, all units, and the message branches off to 2 possible translations again. We have either confirmed dead or code. So the rest of the message could be translated as either all units confirmed dead, 5120 evacuate, ZYX you're next, or as all units code 5120 evacuate, ZYX you're next. If we put the whole thing together, then one possible translation of the message goes as follows. Calling Black Row, emergency, it's over, we are outnumbered without ammo, something attacked camp, we are doomed, no way out, all units code 5120, evacuate, ZYX, you're next. Regardless of the various possible translations, it's quite obvious that the message is a follow-up to the message from December 4th. Basically, after the Black Row rescue team found no survivors in Vault 119, they detected suspicious activity near the Institute. So the team set up camp near the Harvard Bridge for several days while reporting back to Black Row all the suspicious activities that they could see and hear around the Institute. And now with a new message on December 5th, it's quite obvious that their camp is eventually attacked by unknown enemies, perhaps the same ones that attacked Vault 119. There is one aspect of the message, however, that has gone unsolved, and that's the last portion. I would first like to direct your attention to the numbers 5120. This set of numbers made an appearance once before on December 1st through the cipher that appeared shortly after the first countdown expired. If you've watched my previous videos, then you'll know that my assumption for any sign-off with a set of 4 numbers is that it could refer to an android, since the android Harkness from Fallout 3 was also known as A321, which is not only also 4 characters, but it's also very similar to the sign-off on the cipher message from November 22nd, which is 0321. Replace the 0 with an A and you've got Harkness's exact codename. So who's to say that 5120 couldn't stand for an android codename? But the truth is, no one really knows what 5120 stands for. Something else about the latest message that is unclear is the last bit, ZYX, you're next. The letter ZYX in that order appeared on the cipher message on December 4th, except back then it wasn't part of the message, but rather part of the key used to decipher the rest of the message. This time, however, those 3 letters are being used as part of the message, but it's unclear what it stands for. Hopefully we'll find out more with time. Moving on, let's talk about the new cipher message revealed on December 5th. Like with the cipher on December 4th, everything before the dash isn't part of the message, but rather information that will help decode it. The AK stands for alphabet key, the letters REV stand for reverse, and then the blank stands for something that comes before 5120. In other words, the alphabet key of this cipher is the reverse of a set of characters that come before the numbers 5120. And if you recall the cipher from December 1st, there was a set of letters before the numbers 5120 on the message's call sign. The set of letters are different depending on whether the message is still undeciphered or deciphered, but Reddit users found that using the undeciphered version of the characters yielded the wanted results. So by reversing the characters before 5120 on the undeciphered version of the cipher from the message on December 1st, the alphabet key then became THQGN. Next up was deciphering the cipher's passphrase, which is what pass stands for. The stuff in brackets tell the decoders clues on what the passphrase is. It basically says that the passphrase is the year in which the Berkeley building was built, but written with letters. For those who don't know, the Berkeley building is a structure that resides in Boston, Massachusetts, and it was completed in 1947. So if we turn those numbers into letters, the passphrase becomes 1947, but in letters. So after using the alphabet key THQGN and the passphrase 1947, the message was deciphered and translated to this: I am sorry to inform you, but I'm afraid they are dead. Your life support system is just fine. Welcome to the Institute, the only safe place to be in this world. It is unknown who the speaker of this message is, but the one listening to it could definitely be this sole survivor of Vault 119. The survivor probably asks about the people over at Vault 119, to which this mysterious figure from within the Institute answers that he or she is afraid they are all dead. And if rumors that this survivor is the player character turn out to be true, then it looks like we'll be diving deep into this mysterious organization in the upcoming Fallout game. Last but not least, I would like to talk about a small message hidden through the website's favicon. The favicon, for those who don't know, are those small logos that display on your web browser to represent a specific website. Well, way back on November 27th, IRC user 3Dog pointed out that when the Survivor2299.com's favicon is opened as a text file, it reads V119-QR, which many assumed back then to stand for Vault 119 Quabbin Reservoir. So why am I bringing this up now, you ask? Well, the favicon's message was actually changed on December 5th from V119QR to EJYOBA75. The meaning of this new message is unknown, but it's something to put a pin on for future codes and messages. And with that, I would like to end this news update, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Can't say you'll be happy after watching this video. This will likely be the final update for website thesurvivor2299.com, which gave hopes to gamers all over the world that the next Fallout game was only a few days from announcement. Unfortunately, it's been officially confirmed that the website was a hoax. If you go to it now, you'll see a message that says, "That's all, folks," followed by a blurb thanking a whole bunch of people for helping put this whole thing together. It's unfortunate, yes, but I'm not gonna lie, it was fun while it lasted, and a lot of credit is due to the people who put this together and the people who went out there to find all these hidden messages. I don't know how the hosts of the website came up with all this stuff, and God knows how much time these people have on their hands, but it was all very well put together. Now, I know some of you out there may be pissed that this was all a hoax, but do not fret, people. Fallout 4 is still looming in the horizon. It's just a matter of when, and when that time comes, I'll be sure to be all over it. So there you have it, folks, every detail of the Survivor 2299. Now, following the reveal that the teaser website was a hoax, the man behind it all took to Reddit to host an Ask Me Anything session, where he would explain why he planned this elaborate ruse. Unfortunately, if you go to the website now, you'll find that both the account of the mastermind and his posts have been deleted. But fortunately, various websites like Eurogamer have archived the important bits of information from the AMA session. Here are some quotes that they archived. "Some men just want to watch the world burn. I wanted to force Bethesda to reveal something during VGX and bring the Reddit Fallout community together for at least 3 weeks. Unfortunately, this plan failed. I'm one of these selfish bastards with a lot of money, so I wanted to release a CGI trailer. But Pete Hines, Bethesda's PR boss, killed my plans. Maybe I'll release it later along with the script so somebody else can use it. I don't want to piss off Bethesda at this time even more." Alongside these quotes, Eurogamer also archived the fact that the hoaxer had received over a dozen death threats due to the stunt, and the fact that the entire operation cost them $900, although a more accurate figure is actually $990, so almost $1,000. This money was apparently used for things like website hosting and to create a phone number for visitors to call for the purposes of the ruse. So the bottom line is that the hoaxer did what he did because he had the time, he had the money, he was bored, and so he thought he'd try to force Bethesda's hand, a plan that failed. Not gonna lie, as heartbreaking as it was to learn that this entire charade had been a hoax, I ended up having an even bigger appreciation for the Fallout community than I already had. To pull off something like this, and the way the entire community got together to solve this thing, it truly showed just how dedicated Fallout fans are to the beloved series, and just how badly gamers in general were looking forward to the next Fallout installment. As I've already stated in previous Countdown retrospectives, the game practically advertised itself. With that, I would like to end Day 15 of the Fallout 4 Countdown retrospective. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on the entire Survivor 2299 charade. And to be further updated on Fallout 4, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.